Justin, I'm wondering, as you think about transitioning the farm towards higher production, do you have like a time horizon that you're aiming for? Like, and how many acres are you working? I guess
there's 105 right here in a conservation restriction. That's, let's say half of that's in forested land.
Yeah.
The other half's in probably tillable land. So that's, but yeah, right now it's just a weekend night, trying to get as much advanced for as I can and pay bills and debts off till I can financially do it. But, that's the hardest thing. It's trying to get into it and survive. So, but I'm the fifth generation. My grandparents, my grandfather did a lot in the 80s and 90s, and then kind of in the 2000s backed off a little bit. But when I got involved more so in mid to like 2012, kind of is when I got back into it more. A lot was kind of just wasn't done maintenance for years. So over the years, I've been trying to make sure I cut back fields, brush hog like the pasture up here to make sure that's all cut down, because that would just take off in a matter of a couple of years. You wouldn't even be a farm.
Right, it'd be gone. Yeah.
So just with that and maintenance, but we're hoping in the next 5 years to introduce some livestock and get into that.
So he just produced the 6th generation. He's now 24 or 25 days old.
So I hear. Congratulations. Yeah.
That sign right there we changed to 6th generation.
that's awesome.
What's the, I come from a farm in Indiana, and I got out of there pretty quick. And I asked Wendell Berry about that once when I saw him. He's like, you really have to, start with the beauty and the feeling of the farm. And then if you can get that, then people will stick around because it's the place you want to be. What's motivated you to really take this on?
I grew up here and I loved it. I was throwing hay bales when I was 5 years old. Riding on the tractor with my grandfather. I'd spend every summer down here helping him weed, plant, whatever. And then that was my childhood. And I think as he got older in his early 70s, he kind of stopped. So my brothers and I kind of grew up a little bit. So that kind of stopped. The vegetable production went away. He wasn't really doing it. So it kind of was lost. So we continued to do the hay. And at that time, a family member was still family members that are in construction. We were just making all the hay for their construction business. So we really didn't care. So as far as soil quality or quality of hay, it was just slave labor to them.
As long as there was something in the square bill that would hold back sell.
So that was the deal there. Family, had business, had a company. So we were just doing that basically to keep the fields cut down and then fill their trailers out for that. So once that kind of stopped, and I actually bought them out of this, and I moved down here. I've been living here for years, but when I bought the other family members out, my parents live across the street, so they still own half. But once I kind of did that, I had more control as to operations and everything going on. So that's what changed. But growing up, actually my mother too, she grew up on a farm in Sterling. That's still there, still active. My uncle, that's just a hay farm now, but was a big dairy operation at one point. So both sides of my family have that background, but we also have construction background. So, not unfortunate.
It's kind of classic.
I have to work. I have to go build bridges during the day.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you kind of married into a little bit of a farm family too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
Just saying.
Yeah.
I started out in the dairy business. I've done everything. 25-year career in law enforcement, and then back to the farm because I started to hate people again.
Right.
So
you're only trying to get it up towards.
I don't have to get above a 6.
Yeah.
If I get to the other way, then I got to start looking at alfalfa or red clover or something like that. And then that's not a very good marketable product. Like Justin was saying about the clover over here. When he put that much clover down in the beginning, I was like, what are you doing? You want horse hay. You can't dry it.
Right.
You're making silage. Fine and dandy, red clover is the way to go with some orchard grass. But whereas this is a market for horse hay. The only way for a dairy farmer to survive is to sell horse hay. Because there's no other way to make any money. And anybody that went out of dairy and then still has their haying equipment needs to make some hay.
Right.
They got to sell to the horse market. So you've got to look at that.
Right. So you better be growing that
product. Yeah. You've got to and you got to take care of weeds.
Yeah.
Everybody hates the word herbicide,
Hey,
but if you manage it properly and get rid of that invasive or noxious weed, you can do it most of the time in one shot or two shots.
Yeah.
And you're all
Well,
set. And then you go back in with your intensive management once you get rid of it. But those are tools. You got to use tools, but they're not the mainstay. Right?
yeah, we totally, we understand that.
You see a lovely crop of God only knows what other than bittersweet, multiflora rose, and all that crap. You're not out there bush hogging it all the time or spraying it.
Right.
It's
It's taken over.
no
Yeah.
time. And that's indicative of what the soil conditions are in certain spots.
Or we graze it, get animals in there.
Yep.
That's the best.
But keep them out of the hay.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And then all their byproducts go on the hay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's maybe you let them, you fill them up here and then empty them out over there.
So back to the farm, because it's back to what I enjoy. And then hopefully with Justin, we can give the sixth generation one hell of a future.
For sure.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Is there any place you guys would like to sort of walk around with us so we could chat?
Yeah, I mean, we can walk out. I mean, where the sun is probably nice. We can
That
walk
sounds
the
nice.
field here.
Yeah. What about digging a hole? You want to dig a hole in the soil? Check it out.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We got a shovel.
I got a
We come with shovels. Yeah. Yeah. And pardon the thing here.
Oh, no, that's your camera.
Well, and it's our camera, but also there's some people who are watching at home.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple of folks from the towns who
So I'll frame my language accordingly.
feel free to, Frank Carlson was pretty,
Yeah, Frank's a good friend.
he was great. Let's see how we're doing. We'll do this as long as we can, and my battery. So as we make our way out into the field here, we're at Schultz Farm, and Justin's showing us around. He's been talking about what he has been doing and how he's thinking about it.
Mike, how long have you been back on the farm since you're?
Oh, God, let's see.
All right.
Oh, so okay.
I had a small sawmill operation as well. We had pallet business.
Wow.
Then one year the kids were selling my vegetables at the end of the driveway, and they were counting their money on the living room floor. And they said, "That's a hell of a lot of money."
It's hey kid, give me that money. Yeah.
Well, when your kids roll out $1,000 on your kid's living room floor, look at what we made. We're going to spend this at the fair this weekend. Like, no, you're
That's a
not.
hell of a time at the fair.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're digging for. Where you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it's typical, like, yeah, I mean, this was a wood ash pile.
Yeah.
For one application we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So. I would have a heavier coverage of wood ash if you wanted to see what it looked like again.
Sure.
If you took, looking at the soils, if you took something here and then if you went up by the roadside, that would typically tell you what this was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we had an interesting time at Bolton Spring Farms where we got a chance to try out a couple of different spots.
I don't know anybody from Haverhill.
Ooh, that's nice looking. Hold on.
I hope he finds a rock.
You might find an arrowhead.
You guys find
No. Grandfather and grandfather did.
The soil survey is other soil.
This soil is very confusing for this area.
Oh, really? Okay.
Why is that? What do you mean?
Now it's river bottom.
Uh-huh.
yeah, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah,
this-
river bottom.
I mean, this is looking real good.
Out in the valley, you're up along the river in Vermont. You know, when you come in this way over here and you look here, you sit here and go, wait a minute, I'm not in Massachusetts anymore.
Yeah.
Everything just looks different than what's around here. But I cry every time he plows this garden and there's no rocks in it. I'm bringing a few of mine. So what are you at, about 16 inches before you're hitting the change in the horizon?
Yeah, about there. Definitely the nicest soil we've seen today.
I was just thinking about it as you're shoveling.
Yep. At one point, this was an apple orchard. Maybe
Oh,
50 years ago is when they cut it all down.
That's interesting. This is like totally not the
Not the
apple
right
orchard structure that we've been talking about as we've been going
That's
around.
why they end up cutting them all, getting rid of all the trees, because whenever we have a frost, it always
Like it
settles
just
in.
all settles into here. Yeah.
So
The apple trees belong over there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there was an orchard up back here. There's still some old apple trees up there. That was more of a a better situation for the apple trees. There was a big peach orchard at the International where now the second hole of the golf course. But the elevation of
Yeah, Massachusetts. Come on.
the elevation from the ground level here to probably like up there for those trees, that was going to be another 80 feet.
So when are you going to steal this field from
I
us?
know.
Right. So already you're up out of the. Yeah. How far away is the golf course edge?
Well, this whole triangle here from Ballville to Sawyer Road here to Water Aquatics, all part of the conservation restriction. The golf course is on the other side of the road.
It's just on the other side of that. Yeah.
That was part of this at one
Didn't have
point.
one bit of, no Colorado.
The first hole and all the golf course there was part of this farm
Uh-huh.
at one point
It has to do with a few things.
when it got sold.
Putting in the volume of potatoes I was putting in. A seed potato brings in.
Yeah.
All right. How are we doing?
Yeah. Well, you can see if you.
This year hadn't had anything.
Yeah, so you didn't have.
Where
part.
mine had, although I rotate my crops every year,
Uh-huh.
but I'd had 5 to 7 years of potatoes within.
Within a
5
close
acres.
area, yeah.
What actually the field is producing from the woodlot?
No,
I don't know if you
gotta
can
buy
see
it.
in here, Jim, but it's a
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got like 14 to 16 inches of A horizon.
Yeah.
Really nice loamy texture. Yeah, and the subsoil.
Not a rock.
Not a rock. And the subsoil.
Sub is beautiful.
Yeah,
The sub is just sandy.
Yeah.
Clay, not even.
Not even clay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, just a nice
Wow.
sandy.
Fine sandy.
Yeah. This is definitely the nicest stuff we've seen today.
And I grew up as a tillage guy, and I loved the flower.
Well, and this has been
Yeah.
hay or essentially, well, or orchard for a long time. Right. So it hasn't been compacted and tilled
Right,
away.
I mean, hay does pull organic matter out of the soil, but but a lot of
And that's what you see. You're seeing. You get to about what 7 inches, and you lose your roots.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
any depth of root.
Right.
Everything's on top.
Yeah.
Applied nutrient is here.
Just in
Nothing.
that. Right.
And it's staying and getting used up.
Right.
He's got to be able to build it up.
Yeah. You gotta pull that in. Right.
And liquid manure, cow shit, any kind of manure would really assist this.
Uh-huh.
But it's better soil than some of the soil I've got.
Well-
And for the little bit of herbicide he used on here, it's cleaned this field up immensely.
Do you do any annual overseed? Or do you
It's a good application of ash and a good coverage of the herbicide. When we get here, you can see the soil solid.
Right.
storms and the
Yeah. And this year with the drought, I mean, everyone had a pretty low yield.
What would you say in 3 years you've doubled your production in hay?
Probably. I mean, obviously this year the drought in the spring was tough.
Yeah.
But and then with that comes equipment breaking down. A hay mower that's 25 years old doesn't really work as good anymore. Yeah, it's actually probably had its run for it. So
some farmers is one of the barriers to making their farms more productive is lack of technical assistance. Would you say that's true for you?
huge. Yeah.
The access to equipment.
Well, on the technical assistance side, there's no extension anymore.
Yeah, boy, is
You
that the
used to
truth.
have extension people bothering you. When I was a kid, we saw the extension guy at least once a month.
Wow.
Now, if you see an extension person at some meeting somewhere, you're lucky. Just like the same with farm service. Back in the day, it was ASCS. We're starting to, with some of these new programs, they're starting to get out in the field again, starting to see the farmers and talking to the farmers, whereas for a long time they weren't.
Right.
That's what we need more of.
Yeah. What do you think would be like, at the town level, or like a few towns together? Is there anything that could make you guys more successful?
Well, the soil service in itself,
Yeah.
those costs are a headache, and the project can be a headache.
Yeah.
If I've got to go out there and do a soil sampling and do it right,
Yeah.
I'm losing time,
For sure.
and I got to send it somewhere and wait, and I might not know how to read it. I can read it by
definitely.
myself, but some people don't have an understanding for what all that gobbledygook on the page says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what to do with it.
Or what to do with it. Yep. And
The crop.
like myself, when you see that shock, 11 tons to the acre, you can't apply that much in 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years.
No.
So what do you do in the meantime to make that crop work?
Yeah.
That's where we need the specialty people.
Yeah.
Say, okay, this is your plan. These are the stages.
Yeah.
And this is the period of time it's going to take to get there. In the meantime, you're going to grow this crop. Well, I don't want to grow that crop. Well, you got to grow that crop. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
And then helping with the marketability of certain things.
Hmm.
And knowing, as a town, knowing who has a need. And you going to say something?
No, I was just on your climate change thing. I think there's going to be a greater appreciation and value placed on local agriculture. And we've seen it with the COVID where the supply chains break down in a crisis. So the more you have the local food supply like you guys are producing, the more resilient the whole region is.
We need to focus on the fact of climate shift rather than climate change. Everybody's not looking at the calendar properly. What are we doing now? Tomorrow's another story. What are we doing right today? December 6th,
Yeah.
5th, 4th, whatever it is. 60 degrees out. We're standing in the middle of a field with green grass.
Yeah, that was not lost on us. Yeah.
Plowed one mistake in a snowstorm.
And no gloves, and I'm fine. Yeah.
I picked lettuce 3 days after 6 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Our climate has changed. I used to plant corn on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Now we get this where some years you can get in the garden in April, and then you have snow on the 10th of May.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
somebody got shaken and a little rattled out, I think.
yeah.
Mother Nature.
In June, sometime.
You don't see that again. Here we're lucky if you see corn for the 4th of July. And those people are working their butts off to get it. This year, I think it was August 13th before it was really corn season.
Yeah.
Wow.
And corn season could have run into November if we planted accordingly, used a little bit more plastic culture, keep the soil warmer. And then in some events, you could even do some covered corn.
Yeah.
Big. Guy around here raising 30, 40 head of cattle for beef, getting paid what it's worth.
Yeah.
Could be making a pretty good living.
You think there's anything else that we probably want to take a look at that,
Soil wise, you might want to look at the cornfield.
yeah.
And then you can go see the new field.
So, yeah, I think that'd be great. So listen, thank you. And I'm going to sign this thing